Moving on then to the next item, which is cybercrime. And again, this is something that is closely related actually to the last item, in the sense of the funding that was agreed last year as part of the 3.5 million to tackle issues around trafficking and cybercrime and child sexual exploitation. So would you like to comment and introduce the report?
Yes, certainly. As you're aware, cybercrime's been highlighted as a priority within our strategic assessment and has also been included in your revised police and crime plan. And what we've actually done is put the 4 Ps, you prevent, prepare, pursue and protect, at the heart of how we actually tackle cybercrime and cyber-enabled criminality. And again, putting the victim at the heart of everything we do. We've established a cybercrime project board, which is chaired by myself as the ACC for Protective Services Crime, and includes key leaders from across the organisation, such as intelligence, investigations, procurement, human resources, training, and also representation from the Office of the Police and Crime Commissioner. And again, this is around managing our compliance with a capability framework which has been issued by the College of Policing. And we certainly aim to have that capability implemented within West Yorkshire Police within the next few months. And we've certainly engaged with the College of Policing with a view to coming and doing a peer review in respect of our compliance. And certainly a recent visit from the National Crime Agency highlighted the excellent comparative progress that West Yorkshire had made with respect to the particular capability framework that I've mentioned, and certainly highlighted other areas which have been progressed within West Yorkshire Police around some innovation, which includes things like Get Safe Online and also influencing national cybercrime prevention advice and messaging as well. So that's the local, the national. Certainly at the regional level, we've been working with the regional forces, participating in regular meetings focused on the prevent, prepare, pursue and protect, and looking at our capability, particularly around denial of service and hacking, and utilising specialist resources within the regional organised crime unit. We've also been working with local education establishments with academia to enhance the policing response and also identify the new and emerging threats presented through the use of the internet. We're certainly working with local authorities, working with the local communities, the business sector, with a view to providing training and guidance which impact directly the heart of communities, particularly with regard to prevention and protection advice to the local communities. We've also established a cybercrime team which sits centrally within the force. We've got 6 people with specific skills who have been recruited, have all had a background with cybercrime studies or investigations, and they'll be working closely with district staff, again to uplift their knowledge around cybercrime, cyber-enabled criminality, and again enhance our capability to investigate criminality using the internet. They'll develop knowledge, the effective practice and the skills which will be shared across the force, and hopefully, you know, the planned conclusion of the cybercrime team in 2017 will leave that legacy whereby our staff are upskilled to deal with cybercrime, which is used as a modus operandi to perpetrate your traditional crime, but also the new and emerging criminality around using the internet to defraud people, conduct abuse, the use of peer-to-peer, and that's the sharing of indecent images of children. So, you know, there's just a bit of an overview there in terms of what we have put in place. We've certainly seen a significant increase in crime reports relating to cybercrime, and again, I think that's a lot to do with the greater awareness of our staff, but also members of the public as well, who are more savvy around being the victims of crime using the internet. And again, just touching on very similar to human trafficking, we've had mandatory e-learning courses for all our staff. There's a significant compliance rate, so we're certainly raising awareness of staff, and then there's other courses on top of that around mainstream cybercrime, which is enhanced skills to tackle criminality using the cyberspace, but also open source, which is again using intelligence sources which are uploaded, open to the public, to certainly further investigations, but also identify criminality going forward. So that's just a bit of an overview in terms of where we are around cybercrime, really.
I think when you first made the money available, Commissioner, we had a good look at the national definition of cybercrime, but also broadened it out in terms of digital crime. And the reason for doing that was because quite a lot of crossover takes place between the various aspects. So as you know, not only are we looking at what you might call traditional internet fraud type offences, but we're also looking at anything where crime is promulgated through that digital means. So for example, inappropriate and indecent images and so on. So we're actually using that opportunity to try and brigade a number of different types of cybercrime together with that expertise, because clearly you may be able to use the same skills to look at a different series of types of crime within that envelope. So we're trying to maximise the amount of resource that you've been able to provide.
Yeah, thanks for that. And certainly within the reports, cybercrime, the definitions of cybercrime are perhaps not very clear, not only to the public, but certainly there's an ongoing debate about the actual definition of cybercrime within the police service and the wider community safety sector. And it was really interesting to note paragraph 13 that approximately 88% of people in the UK use the internet, and 84% of people in the UK apparently has an active social network profile. So these are massively high percentages that just demonstrates the need for us to understand better the way in which the internet and social media in particular are used in a sometimes negative way.
I think once upon a time it was very clearly distinct between use of mobile phones and computers, but now with some of the technology where actually it's all interchangeable, that's one of the reasons why we've taken this particular approach about looking at cybercrime in its widest sense.
Yeah. So just to pick up on a few questions arising from what you've said in the report, and obviously I welcome the partnership working with academia, business and others. But in terms of the work with academia, could you just explain a little bit more around some of the areas that have been looked at?
Certainly. I mean, we're working together with Sheffield Hallam University, Leeds Beckett University and N8 Policing Research Group, which is made up of leading universities working with law enforcement. And we've identified the following emerging trends really. We've got an emerging threat around contactless payment devices being intercepted, using devices to extract monies from these types of cards, so your bank cards with the contact emblem on them, they're being downloaded and using that to withdraw money. And there's some advice around that in terms of putting a silver paper between the card and your wallet to try and prevent that happening. And there's also the cryptocurrency and bitcoins, which are becoming the new currency for organised crime networks, particularly along the lines of the dark web. So they're a couple of trends which have certainly been identified as emerging on top of what's already emerged and is well developed within the cyber-enabled and the cybercrime world, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've read about some of the issues around contactless payment methods, and there's probably a campaign needed at some point around some of the do's and don'ts. Because I guess most of us now will have cards with contactless payments facilities on them.
I think there's an ongoing need, isn't there, around making sure that our communities are fully sighted on what crime prevention opportunities they can take for themselves.
Yeah.
And I think again the traditional approach of downloading some particular software to protect your computer is a start, but actually there's an awful lot of things out there that the public could do to try and minimise the chance of them becoming a victim of this type of crime. And so the opportunity to share with you today where we've got to in terms of some of all of that and the ongoing work, and then to share it with the wider public is a really good opportunity in terms of those prevention messages.
Yeah.
I really do think we need to build on that Get Safe Online concept.
Yeah.
with regards to combating the new and emerging trends.
Yeah, and I think we've just had some good news regarding the funding. So a bid did go in to the Police Knowledge Fund, and the joint bid that went in from West Yorkshire Police, this office, and the Leeds Beckett and Sheffield University has been successful, and I think there's a sum of 643,000 being awarded, which will in effect look at and analyse how cybercrime is investigated, what is the experience then from a member of the public point of view,
Sure.
and taking that through the criminal justice system as well. So hopefully that will be very welcome
Certainly,
in taking that work forward.
that bid primarily is to improve and incorporate an evidence-based policing approach into frontline policing of digital forensics and cybercrime investigations.
Excellent. In terms of examples around bespoke training, have you got any examples of that in terms of how it impacts on our communities?
Certainly, I mean, the newly formed team have been working with safer schools across West Yorkshire to deliver a bespoke cybercrime questionnaire to inform threat and risk concerning children's use on the internet, which again links into another one of your priorities within the police and crime plan around child sexual exploitation. And you know, that outcome with regards to the questionnaire will be analysed and a product created from that to inform safeguarding partners and also law enforcement going forward. And again, you know, the Safer Schools officers continue to deliver cyber safety training to schools and parents, with specific cybercrime messages towards communities that's been initiated in recent weeks, and I'll just touch on an example around Get Safe Online.
I'm aware of the staff that have been recruited, and no doubt they're building up their skills and experience in this area. But can you sort of gauge how big is the increase in cybercrime, and what specific types of offence are we relating to that?
Well, I mean, I know the National Crime Agency are looking at trying to have an understanding and develop a intelligence profile, but it is work in progress. All I can say to you really is it's continuing to grow.
I think what we have to accept is that this is a emerging crime type. The type of investigation and the skills that are required are very subtly different from the more traditional volume crime investigations that we've been undertaking for many, many years. And therefore there is a need to be able to bring in people with the appropriate types of skills into the organisation at a time when we need to be able to hit the ground running. Trying to rely upon upskilling and training existing staff is going to take a long time. And so we do need that combination of people who can come and assist us right now whilst we continue to develop the capability right the way across the organisation.
Yeah, and I know we've got a cybercrime board within West Yorkshire, which this office is represented on as well. And I know the College of Policing are doing their best to sort of provide the protocols and the guidance and some of the training around this. So the 230 mainstream cyber trained officers which are referred to within the report, in what sense are they starting to utilise those skills in supporting others?
Well, I mean, they're obviously disseminated across West Yorkshire Police, both in protective services crime but also on districts. And they're there to provide that knowledge, experience, specialism around, you know, how to download devices, how to secure and preserve evidence from particular devices, how to conduct an investigation, and will bring up the level of knowledge and experience with their peers. So again, as we progress through the next couple of years, we can actually mainstream cybercrime, cyber-enabled criminality as a core policing duty really, rather than a specialism.
With regards, and I've paid a visit recently to the regional team, how do you think that relationship is working at the moment regarding what is a regional resource? So we know clearly cybercrime can be committed from anywhere around the world, and and how that fits in with our dedicated team in West Yorkshire.
Well, I think from a regional perspective, historically we've run things what we call crime in action, which is like a kidnap and extortion perspective. And there's certainly been examples where, you know, the cyberspace has been used to make demands on companies. We've certainly had cases recently in West Yorkshire where we've secured convictions. And again, you know, my expectation is that these are organised crime groups. The region would take primacy for tackling organised crime groups, and they would major on offences such as hacking and denial of services to large companies. So that's where that focus needs to be. And certainly within districts, I see them with dealing with issues where the likes of Facebook, Twitter, social media are being used to perpetrate traditional crimes such as harassment, threatening, insulting words or behaviour, and, you know, exploiting individuals using the internet as well.
And do you think that we are utilising that link with the regional team as much as we can at the moment?
Well, we've got a firm tasking process in place which looks at the gravity of the offence under investigation, the complexity, and we make a determination together with the ACCs in the Yorkshire and Humber region in terms of the priorities that team actually undertake. So it's based on threat, harm and risk, but also the complexity of the investigation.
Okay. Yeah, well, thanks for the report, and you know, it's clearly something that not only West Yorkshire but the police service generally need to understand more about, and it's quite evident within the report that when the NCA, the National Crime Agency, are struggling to come up with a definition to all this, that there's obviously a long way to go. But I think it probably reflects the shift in the types of criminality that you are now dealing with on a daily basis. And I suspect we will need to invest more as the years go by into the types of skills that are required into these types of investigations and awareness raising amongst the public to understand some of the threats that are out there.
I think that there's a really key area that as a force and perhaps as a PCC that we need to try and continue to lobby is around the changes in legislation that gives us the access that we need to be able to conduct those thorough investigations. If we take cases of child sexual exploitation, for example, everybody, I think, in our communities would absolutely want us to conduct thorough investigations and pursue those perpetrators to prevent further offences from happening and also bring justice to those victims. We can only do that if we can thoroughly explore that cyberspace. And so I do think that we also have a responsibility nationally to continue to lobby and support legislation and changes that enable us to do that.
Okay, thanks for that, and again, we'll come back to this probably in another 6 months' time with a further update report to this meeting.